Won't affect our. Hello, this is Mary Cronin at the Cook Memorial Library, and we're here for a local history collection update and a tour of our online local history website that the library has. I'm going to introduce Adam. Adam Way has been working as an intern in our library since December, and this is part of his coursework for a master's, which he's nearly done with, in history at UNH. And he'll talk about what he's been working on. And just so we all know, this internship was funded by a grant from the New Hampshire Humanities. And this is a grant called Sustaining the Humanities through the American Rescue Plan. And the acronym is SHARP. It's a SHARP grant. And the funds for that were allocated by the National Endowment for the Humanities from the 2021 American Rescue Plan Act. So we're saving the humanities here in Tamworth and in New Hampshire. And I'd like to welcome Adam. He's going to show you what he's been working on and give you a little tour of the website. And hopefully you'll check it out later on. I'll put the link to it in the chat. Okay, Adam, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you for the introduction. And let me just quickly share my screen. Why is it not? There we go. All right. So there have been a few projects that I've been working on. So primarily I've been working on digitization and digital curation. The main three that I've been working on are the digitization of the interviews conducted by Marjorie Gain Harkness and Lillian McCrew for the Tamworth narrative, the oral history audio files here at the Cook Memorial Library, and the issues of the Tamworth Civic News, as well as documenting school records from the 1800s. And for all of that, I've been saved the school records. I've created online exhibits to go with them as well. So starting with the interviews for the Tamworth narrative, there are roughly 84 surviving interviews. There are quite a few that are missing, unfortunately, but all of them follow the same typical format, which is shown on the right. And some are short, like this one, that are less than a page. Others can get up to, I think the longest was 11 pages in length. All of them have varying subject matter, whether it's people's lives growing up, how things have changed. My personal favorite was, there was one discussing possible murder, which I thought was just intriguing. So there's something that you can find in every single one, and I encourage everyone to check them out. But each one gives the date and who is conducting the interview. Usually it's either Harkness or McCrew. Sometimes there are a few other individuals, but it's very rare. Overall, they are in very good condition. They have been housed in the archives, and other than possible like a few tears here and there, they are otherwise in great condition. The way that I've dealt with them are, for the digitization process, was that I scanned them, then took all the files from those scans, combined them, and then I OCR'd them, which OCR stands for optical character recognition, which makes it so instead of basically having a picture of whatever was scanned, it allows you to search and highlight, edit whatever PDF you then created. And then that is uploaded online into Omeka, which is the software we use to create the exhibits. So that is then we use the same process for the oral histories. The only difference is these are native digital instead of physical items. So the difference between this was that these have slightly lower quality in sound because they were transferred from tapes to CDs and then from CDs to MP3s. So they do sound a little off, but you can still hear them. You can still understand what they're saying, play them back fully, and now you can listen to them on pretty much any device as opposed to having to carry around a CD player. That was one of the reasons why we chose to work with these CDs, was because the format was outdated. No one has CD players anymore. Very few people have CD players anymore. I actually had to use an external one because the laptop I'm using does not have one, neither do either of my personal ones at home. So we wanted to be able to make these accessible to as many people as possible. So these files are now available online, and the subjects or the people interviewed are listed on the left. For Mabel Hidden's picture wheel, there's also an accompanying PowerPoint that includes all of the pictures from the original picture wheel. The original picture wheel is included in the archives as well. And you can see the original, you can see the digital reproductions of them, and you can actually follow along with her narration as you go through and listen to her describe each picture. The next major project that I worked on was the Tamworth Civic News. And I digitized nearly the complete collection. I have to say nearly because we were missing one issue, and another had one page that was partially missing. It was volume 16, issue 1 that's missing completely, and then volume 1, issue 2 that's missing one page. So average length was 6 to 8 pages. The condition of these was fantastic. There was a few tears here and there, but most of the time when a page was torn, there was a backup copy right behind it. These have all been in protective sleeves, so there was little to no damage whatsoever. And these are also fairly recent, so there was no wearing of the ink. Like, everything was still perfectly readable. And when I OCR'd them, you can search everything perfectly, as opposed to the Harkness interviews where when you try to search something, sometimes they come out a little weird because some of the letters run together and don't always form perfect searches. These were uploaded in the same way. The files were combined after being scanned, OCR'd, and uploaded. And the entire collection is online and is sorted by volume. The last major project that I've been working on, and I'm still in the process of working on, is the documentation of school records from the 1800s. This one has been fascinating to be working on for a number of reasons. One is because there's a vast spectrum of conditions that I'm dealing with. Some of them are in almost pristine condition. They're in plastic sleeves and look like they're probably 10 years old. They feel weird because they're, of course, over 100, but they look fantastic. And there are other pieces that have been exposed to mold and moisture and are in tatters. those were not housed here at the library and were from an outside source. So we take the good and the bad, unfortunately. Or not unfortunately, but it's just been great seeing how the records from the same time period can be affected differently. There's also a wide variety of subjects. The top right picture is a school board register. So that was used at like school board meetings and everything like that. Whereas the top left is a receipt for dues. The bottom image is a class register. So the names of students would be lined on the left. The teacher's name would be on the top right of that image. And they would count like, oh, if they're here, if they have this assignment in. And it was fascinating for me just to see how they did it over 100 years ago, seeing as that I grew up with this being completely digital. These are just 3 images. I have taken hundreds of images of these documents because that's how many there are. There's just so many, and unfortunately we cannot scan them because it could degrade them further. The ink could be degraded and render them unreadable. So high quality pictures are the best we can do at this moment. Hopefully we can think of something else that will produce better results, but as of right now, it's a good alternative. So these were just recently signed over into our ownership, so that's why we were able to present them now. There's still probably 100 or so more documents that I have to get through. Some of them are as large building plans, and others are tiny squares that are receipts that are like 2 inches by 2 inches wide, and like, oh, okay. You never know what you expect, and it's always fun and interesting. So transitioning over to the online exhibits, I mentioned earlier the program we use is Omeka, and it's a program used to create entries for items online and curate exhibits. And this is done by filling out a series of fields for various pieces of metadata, basically when it was created, what format it's being uploaded as. So if, like for the Harkness interviews for the Tamworth Civic News, it's as a PDF. For the oral histories, it's as an MP3. What it's about, how you would describe it, where it was published, by who contributed to it, all of these sorts of things, as long, or in addition to a unique identifier that ties it not only to that object, but also to this institution. So when we eventually combine our database with other databases from other libraries, you can pick an item out of the larger database and identify exactly where it came from and exactly who has it. So someone will be able to eventually take one of the Harkness interviews and then say, well, that came from the Cook Memorial Library because that has this identifier. So I have created 3 exhibits while I've been here: the Harkness interviews, the oral histories, and the Tamworth Civic News. I've not created one for the school records, mainly because they just transferred ownership over to the library, and the others because it is almost insurmountable at this point, just due to sheer number. And I don't know if we have the space for that on Omeka at this point. But just if you haven't looked at any of the online exhibits yet, this is what you'll see. So these are the 3 exhibits. For example, I just chose to click on the oral history, and it would bring you to these screens. So it would bring you to the screen on the left first, and it would list all of the subcategories, which in this case is all of the separate people that were interviewed. And for an example, I chose to then go into Lillian McGrew's, which then shows all the different audio files. You click on any of them, it all brings you to the same page. I'm still a little confused on why it chose to display it like that, but it is what it is. You click on any of them, it brings you the full entry for that item, and you can play through all of the audio files and read all the metadata. And it's similar for the text files for the various interviews or the Tamworth Civic News. You just click on whatever volume you want for the Tamworth Civic News, click on the issue, and then you can read that issue in full, see all the metadata for it. With the interviews for the Tamworth narrative, it's a little different because I split them up by the interviewee. So there's 84 tabs. I do apologize, that is a lot, but it seemed the best way to convey the information. So lastly, for questions and comments, if you're going through these online exhibits, all the items online, if you have a question, there is a contact us tab, and it'll bring up a form. You just fill out your name, your email, and your whatever item that it pertains to, and just ask your question, and it will email us, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. We'd love to hear from you guys. In addition to that, if you have anything you want to contribute, if you have something that happens to pertain to one of the exhibits, say you just happen to have the, like, say issue 6 or volume 16 issue 2 of the Tamworth Civic News, and you say, hey, I have this, I've scanned it, and you want to send it, there's a contribute an item tab as well. And that's not just for that issue. If you have anything like that, you can send it to us, we'll review it, and we might put it online. So but yeah, I do want to add, I have thoroughly enjoyed working here. It's always been interesting seeing what I can find. So
Thank you, Adam. That was interesting. I'm thinking that the recording won't show the link I put in the chat. So I'm going to, I think I'll share my screen and show you how to get there from our website quickly. Actually, I'll show you the website. So this is the Tamworth History website at Cook Memorial, and the link is tamworthlibrary.omeka.net, or you can get to it from our library website, tamworthlibrary.org, and you can find it. And just so you can see right now, you can browse all the items, you can browse the collections. I'll just go to one of them, and you'll see there's a list of everything that's been added to the website here. The items will give you each individual item. The exhibits are the ones that Adam put together that he just showed you. But the search box up at the top right will let you search. So if you say you're interested in a particular name, you can put it in there. I'm going to type in Moody because I know that shows up. So the 16 instances. So there's an oral history, an audio file of an interview of Hooker Moody. There's also an exhibit, but the name Moody appears in some of these other of the the interviews that are text, I guess they were TypeScript, and then they were scanned. And so because they're fully searchable, we can search by name. And then it shows here where every time Moody is mentioned in all of these different interviews. So that's pretty interesting. If you have a family that you're researching, you can check their name and see where in our very kind of small amount of records that we have so far, how many times they're mentioned. The fact that Moody's there 16 times is pretty awesome, I think. The other thing to know is that you can actually search this website from our library catalog as well. I will show you how to do that. So our library catalog, we have a new catalog, as you know. And if I wanted to do the same search, I'm going to put Moody in here, but then on the, I'm going to put it in the search bar. And then under in library catalog, I'm going to choose history and archives, and then hit search. And here it is, the same interview. And this searched a little differently, so it just came up with the one. But as you can see, you can still sort of connect to the local history from our library catalog, as well as on this website. I'm trying to make it as accessible as possible and make sure that people stumble upon these things when they're looking for them. So there's no one here to ask questions, so we can't anticipate what you might be wondering, but feel free to contact me, or if Adam's here, you can come talk to Adam. And the library is, right here in Tamworth Village. We're open every day except Thursday and Sunday, and call us on the phone, 323-8510. We'd be happy to answer your questions. I'm so excited we were able to have an intern to have this work done. It's been really great, because this is the type of thing that a lot of times is put off when there's more pressing things. As far as library service goes, we're busy doing programs or adding to our current collection and doing that kind of work. And the history stuff, where we've got it in a safe place. It's just this piece of making it more accessible is important. So getting a chance to really get a bunch done at once has been so fantastic. So thanks to the humanities, thanks to Adam, and thanks for coming today to our recording. Okay, anything else, Adam? I'm going to end the meeting, I think. We're good. Well, thank you. As soon as I find my window to end the meeting. Oh, stop share. I can trim that part off. I'm going to stop recording. Yes, I do want to stop.